Even coming from New Zealand's biggest gang of suboptimal IQ havers to partly Maori, the content of what appears to be a drug-induced rant from racist Takuta Ferris can only be regarded as extreme. In the wee small hours, Ferris was venting about criticism he faced over a social media post about the Tamaki Makaurau by-election. Here's what he was defending.
This blows my mind. Indians, Asians, Black and Pākehā campaigning to take a Maori seat from Maori.
Now, most right-minded folk just laugh at Ferris and his hateful racist vitriol and dismiss him as either being under the influence of something or mentally retarded. But there is a real and very dangerous risk posed by the kind of hate-filled bile that spews from Ferris's mouth. A few days ago, conservative US political influencer Charlie Kirk was shot dead at a university where he was debating just the kind of toxic identity politics that Ferris's racism leverages. Our thoughts and condolences are with Charlie's family and friends. He and his voice will be sorely missed. While Ferris himself might be too zoned out to effectively line up a sovereign subject in the crosshairs of a rifle scope, make no mistake, there are plenty of racist nutjobs like Ferris who openly show extreme hatred for anyone who does not have a treaty subject ancestor. Ferris's language is practically provoking other unhinged fractional descendants of treaty subjects to use violence against sovereign subjects. Take these examples against a background of hatred levelled at David Seymour. These are the kind of comments left on this channel because of my status as a sovereign subject, even though I relentlessly oppose racism. But this is not simply about racism alone. Rather, it's about identity politics. Identity politics is a potent weapon used by the neo-Marxists to create conflict and chaos in society. It's all part of their overall goal to overthrow democracy and replace it with an unattainable and unsustainable communist utopia. We've seen it before in New Zealand, under the previous socialist government. Identity politics fractured our society into groups and pitched us against each other. Rather than all being New Zealanders, we became instead the vaxxed and unvaxxed, the Maori and non-Maori, the binary and non-binary. We were seduced into walking down this pathway by that awful woman who tricked us into voting for her. Although Ferris himself has a very dim intellect and may not even understand or have any insight into his own Marxism, he's no less than a useful idiot for the Marxist heavyweights like Mutu, Moxon and Tamahiri. These conscious Marxists have no qualms at all using useful idiots like Ferris to shit-stir and create havoc. To complicate things in New Zealand, the Marxist agenda of a communal utopia comes with a ready-made iwi feudal society, infecting to the very core of our representative democracy. For our homegrown Marxists, the agenda is not so much about creating a new utopia. The agenda is more about turning the clock back to a purported pre-1840 utopia. They want you to believe that New Zealand's reputation as the, quote, hellhole of the Pacific in the 1800s was unfounded. Their own account of the slavery, cannibalism, headhunting, genocide, and persistent war, they now want you to accept that, well, that's all just a big misunderstanding. There's some very important information to be read from between the lines of Ferris's racist vitriol, which many people won't immediately pick up on. And I don't blame anyone for being so disgusted by Ferris that they really can't entertain his commentary, let alone extrapolate logical conclusions from it. In his latest response to being called out for racism, Ferris has confirmed everything that I've said in my previous videos about iwi political ideology and how that ideology is impossible to integrate into a democratic country based on representative government and universal suffrage. Ferris's comments confirm crucial features of iwi political ideology, which make it incompatible with the rule of law, representative government, and the fundamental human rights of all New Zealanders. A major problem is that authority in Te Ao Māori is personal and is derived from mana. Mana is a manifestation of reputation, character, gentility, and how many embellishments, exaggerations, and even straight-out lies can be embedded into one's own oral history. This is what the Communist Propaganda Agency Stuff reported.
So you're not trying to show that you don't respect their leadership?
No, not at all. I mean, that's not how we work in Te Ao Māori. There are 6 seats in Te Pāti Māori. They all represent individual rohe, and all of those rohe have the same mana. So that's how we work together.
You can immediately see the dichotomy here. Ferris is saying that he has the same authority as the people who he also acknowledges as the leaders of his party. He's literally telling us that he has the same authority as the people who he says have authority over him. Ferris could not be more helpful in explaining iwi authority, and incidentally why iwi authority is not and has never been vested in sovereignty. The problem with iwi political ideology is that no one has the final say. Everyone in the iwi leadership class is in a constant power struggle. Everyone can do whatever they want. Takuta said this.
I mean, that's not how we work in Te Ao Māori. There are 6 seats in Te Pāti Māori. They all represent individual rohe. All of those rohe have the same mana.
You can see Ferris here is playing games with semantics. He starts by correctly stating that authority for decision-making, which by definition is mana, vests in the individual. Talking about each MP, he says they can make their own decisions, and that's actually how it does work. But then it dawns on him that he's just defined a political party that has no fixed policies upon which its supporters can rely. So he tries to rescue himself with more bullshit. He does this by purporting to transfer the individual MP's mana to their respective electorates. All of those electorates have the same mana, according to Ferris. But you can't transfer mana. It'd be like trying to transfer your reputation or medical history. You also can't vest mana in an electorate. Mana is a part of personhood, not neighbourhood. You cannot trade mana, you cannot give away mana, you cannot cede mana. And you can't bullshit me by using Maori words to make gibberish sound credible. Because of this chaotic distributed authority in iwi political ideology, it's impossible to get a binding consensus, and nothing is ever fully and finally settled. What it really boils down to is that there is an elite class of people in the iwi society, and don't get me wrong, all societies tend to have an elite class of some sort. But when you couple an elite class addled by aristocratic egotism with an ideology that neither recognises nor admits a supreme authority, it's not rocket science what happens next. And if you want to find out what does happen when iwi authority gets a foothold, that's set out in my video titled The Case Against Maori Wards, which I'll link at the end of this video. And if you want to know how iwi political proxies are pushing for the resurrection of iwi feudal authority, watch the video about what Eru Kapakini wants. I'll link that at the end too. Ferris has provided a really good insight into why all New Zealanders need to rally against the various iwi bureaucracies. Until we completely dismantle the political power and influence of the iwi rangatira class, they will continue to be weaponised by the Marxists amongst them to create division, cultivate resentment in our democracy. We have a horrific example of where that resentment leads to with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And that's just how dangerous Ferris's racism is. Ferris is faced with a difficult decision. He can accept that his position is untenable, that he is beyond redemption and should not be in our parliament. He can quit, or he can stay and carry on. But if he does choose to stay, he proves to everyone that he has even less mana than Benjamin Doyle, who at least did one thing right. Those are my thoughts. Leave a comment and let me know yours. Thanks for watching. Give us a like, would you, and do hit subscribe to be notified of new content as it drops. See you next time.